Exploring Stories SCP-2845 THE DEER. How do you fight against a god? Not only that, how do you fight a god while trying to keep society under the veil of secrecy? Today's article attempts to answer both of those questions. The classification in this SCP universe is a little different, so I'm going to add a little note on screen when giving the explanation, as well as a quick warning here. This article does contain castration, cannibalism, harm to infants, and mass casualties due to a natural disaster. This means if you're uncomfortable with any of that, do not proceed, just go to one of my other videos. That being said, let's get into today's SCP-2845 THE DEER. Containment Class: Extreme. Hazard Rating: Black. Object Class: Anomalous Entity. Standard Containment Policies. As per Section 4, Subsection 1 of the January Accords, containment of SCP-2845 is a joint effort between the Foundation, the United States National Guard, the United States State Department, and the United States Department of Homeland Security, as well as the United Nations Special Task Force Blue Alpha. Authorization of outsourced containment consultants for the purposes of SCP-2845's containment upkeep is granted in perpetuity by the O5 Council according to Operation Policy 336-87-B. Description: SCP-2845 is an extraterrestrial quadruped entity measuring 2.9 meters in height at its shoulder. The neck, generally held in an upright position, extends a further 0.5 meters, terminating in a head with a humanoid facial feature. SCP-2845 possesses antlers measuring 4.8 meters across. The antlers are white with black marbling in coloration and have not been observed to shed. SCP-2845 is covered in hair with an average length of about 10 centimeters, except for its face, which is completely hairless. SCP-2845's coloration is primarily a pastel green, with a stripe of cream on the underside of its neck and belly. A ring of ice particles is suspended 15 centimeters behind its skull, measuring approximately 1.7 meters in diameter, with a ring thickness of 35 centimeters. This ring is interrupted at regular intervals by 7 spheres of metallic hydrogen and metallic helium, each measuring 15 centimeters in diameter as well. The ring and spheres rotate clockwise at a speed of 1.6 rotations per minute. The force maintaining the movement of the rings, the physical state of the spheres, and the means by which SCP-2845 is capable of supporting its head under the weight of the antlers is unknown. SCP-2845 is capable of instantaneous transmutations and reconstruction of matter. No matter is created or destroyed during this process. Transmuted matter will remain stable regardless of external conditions. Phase changes will remain in the transmuted state regardless of outside temperatures and pressure. Altered atmospheres will maintain chemical consistencies and not mix with an altered atmosphere outside the area of effect. Common transmutation results include structures of metallic hydrogen and helium. Structures do not appear to have any function or aesthetic direction, though they mostly commonly take organic or plant-like forms. Pools of liquid hydrogen and helium, conversion of atmosphere into hydrogen, helium, ammonia mix. SCP-2845 will typically surround itself with transmuted area with a radius of approximately 5 meters. SCP-28451 instances. The designation of SCP-28451 is for organisms that have been modified by SCP-2845 itself. So, instances of SCP-28451 are hexagonal columns, uniformly measuring 2.4 meters in height with rubbery yellow-green skin. These instances do not have outward sense organs, and autopsies have shown that internal organs are likewise absent, save the brain, which now takes up the entirety of the column and contains the reconstituted mass of the other organs and some additional outside materials. It is unknown how SCP-28451 instances derive nutrients or if they actually require any nutrients in general. Neuroimaging of SCP-28451 specimens have revealed that the brain is in a constant state of high activity. Analysis of multiple specimens indicate patterns of call and response, so it seems that there are some form of remote communications between all instances. Model variants of SCP-2845-1 have been reported, but those mutated instances have managed to evade capture. SCP-2845 itself will use directed transmutations against attackers or obstacles. Typically, these transmutations are columns measuring 5 to 7 meters in diameter and 60 to 80 meters in height, or a horizontal cone measuring between 100 and 150 meters in length and 10 to 30 meters in width at the furthest end. However, tracking it has been observed to attack single targets at a distance of up to 10 kilometers. Early observations of SCP-2845 during recovery indicated that it will generally ignore non-combatants, focusing on retaliation against the attackers. However, it was not necessarily seen to make any attempts to spare non-combatants within the area of effect of its transmutations. And later recovery accounts indicate preemptive attacks against both military and civilian targets. Addendum 01. An abridged timeline of SCP-2845 from initial discovery to containment. November 27, 2011. Initial sighting of comet. December 1, 2011. The comet is confirmed by Mount John University Observatory. December 2nd. It is confirmed and named by the Minor Planet Center as Comet C 2011 W3. This comet reaches perihelion December 16, 2011. Perihelion, for those of you who are unaware, is the point at which Earth is closest to the Sun, which is usually around January. On the same day that it reaches perihelion, Solar Dynamics Observatory records images of a fragment breaking off from the main body of the comet, maintaining a speed of 0.0018 c. December 17, 2011, the fragment trajectory is confirmed to end in a collision with Earth, with an estimated impact of December 21st. Torth Station deterrence procedures fails to change fragment's course. Public announcement made by the United Nations evacuations of the predicted affected area begins. 4 days later, on December 21st, 2011, this fragment impacts in the Pacific Ocean, 124 kilometers off the western American coast. Despite evacuation attempts, estimated day 1 casualties caused by the resultant tsunami were between 100 and 190,000. State of emergency declared by the United States. December 24th, 2011, SCP-2845 is believed to have reached the shore. On the 25th of 2011, the first observation of SCP-2845 through civilian video footage is recorded. First contact specialists are deployed, and the Foundation assets within the United States military begin direction of recovery and containment procedures. They need the assistance of the United Nations Special Task Force Blue Alpha to proceed. Mobile Task Force MU-9, Alpha 3, and Esoteric Warfare Unit Squads 359 and 12 are deployed. Casualties are high. Foundation containment sites in the region enter lockdown. Between December 26th and 29th of 2011, arterial bombardment of SCP-2845 commences and continues throughout this 4-day period. Contact with outside containment consultants are made. It is confirmed that it is moving directly towards Site-115. December 30th, 2011, data expunged. SCP-2845 is unimpeded for 16 hours. December 31st, 2011. Overseer Council declares by unanimous vote a VK-class lifted veil event. Initiation of public-facing woodwork protocols. Bombardment of SCP-2845 recommences. For those of you unaware, a lifted veil scenario is when the SCP Foundation decides that it must reveal itself to the public at large because there is an anomaly that they cannot control, and they must inform the public of its existence in order to protect the people. Next, we move forward to January 1st to January 14th, 2012. SCP-2845 carves a passage through the Sierra Nevada mountains under heavy bombardment. Initial containment procedures were designed. January 14th, Operation Cernonus begins. January 15th, SCP-2845 reaches the predetermined containment area. Initial containment procedures were enacted. January 18th, initial containment procedures end in a success. January 20th, construction of Site-100 begins. February 3rd, 2012, finalized containment procedures are now implemented. February 19th, 2012, SCP-2845 is now declared contained. So, we had a god rampaging through the United States, and the SCP Foundation wasn't able to do anything for about a good month. Suddenly, it's contained in the middle of the Nevada mountains. Let's go ahead and read the special containment procedures to figure out what they have done. And just like the warning mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is where all the intense stuff starts happening. So if you've managed to make it this far and you're on the fence about keep listening, this is your final warning. Special containment procedures. Site-100 has been constructed specifically for the containment of SCP-2845 to the following specifications: a central chamber containing SCP-2845 and 216 instances of SCP-2845-1 are held. Internal atmosphere of this chamber is to consist of 96.3% hydrogen, 3.25% helium, and 0.45 ammonia, maintained at negative 110 degrees Celsius, with a pressure of 2.3 bar. 9 concentric circular structures designated Ring A through Ring I. There are 6 circular chambers which are located on each ring at 0, 60, 120, 180, 240, and 300 degrees, with 0 degrees aligned to geographic north. The floor of each chamber is inlaid with an unobstructed lead hexagram. Additional facilities and the security perimeter have no ritual-specific construction requirements. Ethics Committee Special Notice. Containment of SCP-2845 has been granted a Special Personnel Requirement exception for the usage of 1 D-Class and 1 H-Class subject per containment cycle. As this article does not contain the meaning of H-Class, I did a little research online, and Reddit seems to agree that H-Class stands for Children or Vulnerable Individuals. The following procedures are to be carried out in succession during each conjunction of the Earth and Saturn, recurring every 378 days according to the synodic period and performed no more than 6 hours before or after true conjunction. Each procedure must be carried out by 6 individuals. Locations of each procedure is denoted in the parentheses. At the beginning of each period, containment procedures will be carried out in the next ring closest to the containment chamber, returning to Ring I upon the cycle completion. Transcripts of the ceremonial recitations for all procedures and descriptions of all variant costumes may be found in the below document 2845C EXP, which is the below article and the procedures I'm about to read. Step 1. Procedure 410 Cassini, at the 60-degree mark. Containment specialists are presented with masks: joy, sadness, anger, fear, apathy, and foolishness, and they then act out Ceremony Cassini A. Ceremony Cassini A is a farcical comedy of errors and exchange of insults between the 6 individuals, culminating in foolishness outwitting the group in a game of riddles and then declaring himself king. The conclusion of Ceremony Cassini A is followed by a game of dice. The winner of the game is irrelevant to the procedure. Next, we move to the second step, Procedure 420, Perinaldo, 120 degrees. Performance of Holst Opus 32, Movement 5 for flute, oboe, clarinet, French horn, timpani, and bass drums. The piece is accompanied by a specific somatic and vocal components carried out by the players throughout the performance. Designated Ceremony Perinaldo A. The performance must be live. Recordings of the piece have no effect. Procedure 430, Epimetheus, 180 degrees. Gifts are exchanged among containment specialists. Contents of these gifts are irrelevant to the procedure, but each gift must not exceed $4.28 USD in worth. Each gift is accompanied by a recitation of Ceremony Epimetheus A in its entirety and the scattering of grain around the containment chamber. Step 4. Procedure 440 Cassiel, 240 degrees. Ceremony Cassiel is recited as a containment specialist bind their feet with wool and consume 60 milliliters of olive oil. They then will break apart a rock weighing at least 20 kilograms with hammers. Ceremony Cassiel B is recited throughout. Step 5. Procedure 450 Cairo, 300 degrees. A D-class subject is prepared by painting a symbol, a ring surrounding a dot with an arrow pointing upwards at the 90-degree point on the stomach with a platinum-based solution. The D-class is then presented with a blue cloak, crown, and scepter. The D-class subject is then restrained in a chair, and a ceremony Cairo A is recited. After recitation of the ceremony Cairo A, the D-class subject is then to be castrated by a use of hand sickle by a containment specialist. The testes are then to be disposed of in a bowl of salt with water as ceremony Cairo B is recited. Lastly, we get to step 6, procedure 460 Omphalos, 0 degrees. Ceremony Omphalos A is to be recited before termination and roasting of an H-class subject, no more than 3 months of age. Ceremony Omphalos B is to be recited before the consumption. After consumption of this child, ceremony Omphalos C is to be recited over a bowl of small gastrolites, which are then swallowed. Vomiting is then induced and ceremony Omphalos D is recited, ending containment procedures. In the case of containment breach, Site 100's nuclear device is to be detonated, followed by a lockdown of all Foundation facilities and activation of Protocol 2845 XK1. Strike down the moon. Obviously, this is quite grotesque, and the containment procedures for this SCP is very heavy. Now, there is a letter at the bottom called Towering Kadath, My Home, which is a letter to the Ethics Committee explaining why this must be done. I'm going to read it verbatim. Ladies and gentlemen of the Ethics Committee, good morning. My name is Redacted, Sage of the Secret Route, and I have been elected today to speak with you on the containment requirements of SCP-2845. The briefing you have been provided is correct. The containment procedures requires the ritual castration of a man and the cannibalization of an infant. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that there's nothing that can be done about it. Rituals such as this work through the repetition of arbitrary criteria, rather than the adherence laws as one would find through science. The belief that these meetings and that these criteria achieve a certain end assigns power to the ritual. We make a meaning of our own devising. However, we are not totally free to do so. The ritual needs some resonance with the subject to work, a certain appropriateness. Hence the requirements. Some gods are only appeased with blood. I know that your organization doesn't approve of them, but it's still the case. The stag is a god, and it is not a mild god of earth. All the same, we have, for the time being, fooled it into thinking that we have overpowered it, and that is how we seal it away. But this means that once a ritual of this sort has been set in place, there cannot be any removals or substitutions. Making revisions would requiring breaking containment and starting over again from the beginning. Our initial designs for the ritual required upkeep every 3 days, and we would have easily trapped ourselves in that, were we not able to catch a major flaw in the binding elements before execution and reduce the frequency to 1 year. We weren't able to reduce it any further. The I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Even with the ritual in place, If the stag thought to escape, it would, and we would be powerless to stop it. The entire facility would vanish in a puff of hydrogen. So let us be thankful, then, that it does not think at all. This is an old god. It does not dabble in decisions. Decisions are for creatures who may act inconsistently. A god of this strength simply is. It is an absolute. It may choose this, or that may no more than gravity might. In binding this ritual, we have shifted its being the slightest bit, and now it is locked into a pattern of behavior. It struggles against us. We struggle against it, and we are locked together in an eternal dance, so long as the ritual remains intact. If one thing goes awry, the deadlock is broken, and all is lost. We will have an unstoppable force moving without an immovable object. The rituals here have been divined as the best course of action. There are powerful symbols there, and whether or not you or I think they're appropriate to the situation is irrelevant. I do not know why I came here, nor to what end, but I have listened to the pillars it makes of us. They are singing mysteries closed to us. Those people are not suffering, but they have been changed utterly. The same fate awaits us all if this fails. Thank you for your time. That being said, we've reached the end of today's article. Thank you for listening. If you still are, please consider subscribing. We've hit 1,150 subscribers as of the recording of this video, which is amazing. Let's try and double that and aim for 2,000. Thank you so much. Don't forget to leave a comment, and have a great rest of your day.